My mom and dad knew I wanted to be a farmer. I really did want to be a farmer and an artist. And one day I came home with a bunch of baby chickens, and I was going to raise chickens in our backyard. That didn't last long, as you may have guessed. I ended up having to find a home for every one of them. I had about 30 or 40 of them. So that was a lesson. But I love the chickens. I think they're important to our history as a country, but they're just part of our daily routine. Almost everyone around us has to, we have chickens for all kinds of reasons, and they're fun to paint because they're so colorful. And so if you remember, we left off last week. This is a 16 by 20 vertical format painting. We're working with our acrylics, and this is going to be an interesting. Now, I had all of you work with your underpainting for the grasses. The hay and the straw, using your number 6 chisel edged brush. And that's what I'm doing here now. I'm finishing up some of those little straw lines. We're going to do a lot more of this as time progresses. And then I took my charcoal and I sketched out my rooster. Can you see my rooster here? Okay. Now this rooster has got to be big. So whatever rooster you use, whether you use this one or you find one on your own, maybe you have raised chickens and you've got a beautiful rooster you want to put in here. My only job, really responsibly to you as a teacher, is to show you how to do it. You can put any rooster in here you want, but whatever you do, be sure that this particular bird takes up a huge section of this part of the painting, and it's slightly shifted to the right of center. That's why we put the door slightly to the left of center, so that you can get this balance of what we call the negative space rule in painting and drawing. You've heard me talk about that forever. It's the arrangement of space that surrounds your objects to give you good eye flow. So now you see we have the little opening here. We have the little, you might say the little steps that go up to there. They like to have those to stand on. And so we're going to have one here, one here. I'm going to have a hen here, a couple of hens sitting back there, maybe one or two in the doorway, a few little details. We have the rooster. I'm going to have this post stick in here. And he's either sitting or standing on the ground or he's on top of a perch. But because he's so low and his legs are so long, it's really hard to see the base because I don't want to get him any taller than this. So depends on how much leg room you end up with, whether you have to put him on a perch or if you want him on the ground. That's just a choice you'll have to make. Tool that a lot of you are going to need is a toothbrush. We're going to start with that this time. So I'm going to take a toothbrush, and this is a fairly stiff one. And by the way, I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's go right to the finished painting. This is not the same exact painting we're doing. I'm just using it as sort of a guide. But if you look real close, you can see all the little pebbles, gravel, and the grit and the dirt stuff. That's all done with the toothbrush. That gives it that little bit of a, you might sandy dirt look, and it's really fun to do with the toothbrush. You can make it look almost photographic if you want to. But like I said, we're using a lot more impressionistic techniques and strokes here to make this painting have a little more fluid movement. So what I'm going to do now, before we put the final straw in there, take your toothbrush. This is a fairly stiff one. Plenty of water. We'll start with some dark ones. Take the blue and the brown. And you roll this around here and you get it nice and dark, nice and soupy. Always test first somewhere on your dabble board or something. Make absolutely sure there's nothing around you this can splatter on it, because it will. You got to have a painting or reference material or a person. And we had a class one time and we were doing this and we were splattering snow, and this lady turned around and she had splattered her neighbor's hair. It was all white on the back. So this stuff sprays further than you think. So here's what I do. Have a wet paper towel handy, just or damp, because you're going to overspray. Now you could say, well, why don't you just mask it off? Well, that's just a lot of work. Really, all you're going to do is just wipe off quickly any overspray. All I'm doing is taking my forefinger. Don't use your thumb or it'll come back and hit you right in the face. Take your forefinger and run it across there, get real close. And the soupier it is, the bigger the blobs are. You may not see much going on right now because I don't know if it's showing up too good on them. I can't tell. But you'll see it on yours. These are not designed to show up that much. They're designed to add color, flavor, a little bit of highlight, a little texture. If you get too much of it up on your building, you see, just kind of wipe it off a little bit. These are the dark ones. So we'll do those first. And put as much as you want. We use this little trick all the time. Great for pebbles, rocks, sand. Let me tell you, And I think we did this here sometime back on the show when we did this beach scene. We did a lot of splattering. And by the way, when these dry, the water evaporates, the paint then flattens out, and it's not quite as shiny as you can see there. Now I'm just spraying right over the edge of the rooster because it doesn't really matter if he gets it on him. Now the closer you can get really controlled with your splatters. I'm going to get a few more down in the right-hand corner. And then we'll go to some light colors ones to add a little highlights like the sun's hitting them. And if you did them a little more fluid, you get the bigger blobs. It makes them look like bigger pebbles and rocks or whatever. Pretty fun. It's like something like, if you were a kid, that's what you want to do if you were a kid. Art is kind of a fun thing when you think about it. Brings back childhood memories. Okay. I think I have enough dark ones. Now I'm going to rinse this out. Kind of scrape it along the edge of the water container and get most of that dark out of there. Then you go back now and take some gesso. Whatever color you want, I'll just go with I'll go with the orange. Roll it around. A little more water, get it nice and fluid. Test down here somewhere, and then start splattering. And you'll notice now, all of these little highlights will suggest the highlights on the other one. So, it's an optical illusion. It just looks like the sun's hitting all these little pebbles, sand and dirt particles. It's just a fabulous technique. And you can use an array of colors, and we will. Don't be afraid of color, you guys, when you do. That's why we did the model background for this one. You can see those reds coming through, some of the gold, the browns. Sometimes I just want the splatters, especially on something like this, it doesn't hurt the wood at all. In the foreground. Yeah, it's really cool. Hey, let's put some red ones in. Let's come down here and just take pure red. That's the cat red light. Put just a little bit of that mixture in it to opaque it. Test. Throw the red ones in. Yeah. I think what this is more of a way to harmonize your painting, tie in the colors of the bird, which is going to have a lot of the rust colors. Nothing like a little splattering to make your day. And remember, always test. Because sometimes you get a huge blob and you don't really mean to, but a lot of people forget to do that little test splatter or two before you start, and you have more control over it. Now, on some of the bigger blobs, now look, here's a good example. Now, see these three big ones that just splattered on there? I want to show you. I'm kind of glad that happened because I'll show you how easy it is to take those off. When you get one that's too big like that, don't rub it off. Just take your damp paper towel, put your finger behind it, and you touch it like that. And see, that generally pops it right off. Now, up here you can rub it off because it's not in the way of anything. But anytime you want one off, a small one, tap it. And it sucks it right off. You don't have to rub it because if you rub it, you're going to smear an area and you got to repatch that whole area to work. This is why I just touch it and it just goes away. So that's a good thing. I'm glad that happened. Now, you want to put some green ones in here? I think I'll put some green ones. But then I think that would be enough for now. You can go put blue ones. You can put purple ones. You can put anything in there. And because they're such small dots, they don't really show up as major colors. They just add flavor. It's kind of like putting a little salt and pepper in your cooking. All right. Now take the green. I'm going to add a little white to it so that it will opaque it, and it makes the green show up better. So if you have a darker color like, say, purple or blue, you want to put a little bit of white in it. See how it makes the green show up more as opposed to that original dark right there? Water. Test it. And then splatter. Yeah, I like that green in there. And here again, folks, there's a good chance you're not seeing this too well on the TV. I don't know. but just have fun with it. I think it would be a good idea to experiment on a scrap of board if you've never done this before, because it can be a little scary for the first time you do it. And see, it makes the straw kind of sit down and settle down into the dirt, the painting. All right, now then, we're in good shape there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my reference material, and I have found a rooster that's similar to the one I'm going to do here. It's not the exact same one, but it's similar. You know, you can only, like, I remember years ago when I worked with Ducks Unlimited doing all the birds and animals, and you can only get ducks in so many poses. They only flap their wings certain ways. You can only do so many things. So when you go through and you look for your reference material, again, don't violate any copyright laws and copy things, but you can get ideas. You can study color, you can study form, you can study wing structure. And so I've got most roosters stand just about like this. What I want to do is get the color in here, and I like this dark breast area, and then we'll have the red coming over. This is one of those. This one doesn't show it, but I don't know what chicken this is. I'll get it before we're done in the next couple of sessions. But it's got that turquoise blue on it. We've got another one here. I think it has that color on it. So we're going to start off first just by blocking in the bird. Now, you've got these feathers that overlap that, and they hang down like this. And now, see, this one over here is kind of like this one. If they look over here, see, this, I don't know what chicken this is either, but it's got the dark breast and then the white hair or feathers that hang over it. This one's similar. It's going to be real dark through here, the dark turquoise tail, and then sort of the rusty and reddish color over the feathers on top. Go back to the number 6 chisel edge brush. Take your burnt umber, a little bit of sienna. You want it to be kind of warm. I'm going to put a little purple in it to make it really rich. See how rich that is? It's a nice, rich color. Now, block this in and work it up into this area like this. Now, again, last week and this week, it's all about the underpainting. Just getting everything blocked in. When you pull across here, be sure you pull in. Don't get that hard edge. You've heard me, those of you that have been watching for a while, pretty much know the drill on this. And when you go up in here where these overlapping feathers are going to be, see how I turn my chisel edge brush up and I pull in like this? That kind of gives us a little bit of a fill this in here. Just like everything else in painting, always start from dark to light. And because he's right in the foreground, the darks can be really dark and the lights can be really light. We can put a tremendous amount of color in this bird. It's going to be fun. Just kind of get that blocked in there, and there's part of his leg right there. There's that drumstick there. And it's really still not quite dark enough. Put too much water in there, and you guys, almost all of you will, I think this is one of the biggest battles in acrylic painting, is getting the right amount of paint, the right amount of water. And I still fight that in my own work and in helping my students. Okay, once you kind of get your rooster pretty well blocked in, well, this leg goes down here. And like I said, once again, I am not really sure. We may be able to get part of those feet in there, kind of sitting on a board. They normally, when you build the roost, I'm finding out, I'm learning this because I'm going to have my own chicken coop sometime. You just have a flat or a rounded perch for them to sit on, and you don't want it to be too wide. While I'm doing this, by the way, let's go ahead and block in this post over here where the perch is attached to. And I know somebody's going to be calling me up or writing me and say, you're an idiot. You're not giving all, you don't know what you're talking about on these. You're right. I'm going to admit it already. I'm just learning, but I do know that you have to have a perch for them. That's for sure. If you want to have part of it going across at an angle like this, I think it looks kind of good. It makes a nice eye stopper. And sometimes in painting, folks, we do things because we want interest. We want it to be artistic. If you always paint, like how did Picasso, some of these great artists that do way out things get away with it and become very famous and just make millions and millions and millions? It's because it's art, and whatever art can make you feel good, you do it. So right now we're going to just leave him like that. Now walk in the tail. Now this is going to be where you have to practice this very loose impressionistic stroke. Back to the same number 6 chiseled edge synthetic brush. Now down here next to the ultramarine blue, we have what's called the turquoise deep. I want to show you guys something very quickly though before we do this. You take a little bit of gesso. Take a little bit of this turquoise and put it in. Watch this explosion of color. See how bright that is? That beautiful turquoise. That's what we're going to highlight his tail feathers with, and certain parts of the feathers on his body. But in the meantime, take the turquoise by itself, add a little burn over to it. And once you come up here, and I want you to flip your brush like this. See, you can see the tail on this bird. See how it kind of, you can see little flips and the angles of the things come out there, and then we have the little rust red color coming over, and then we have the rust orangey color up here, and then the red wattle and the comb. You know, I do know that's what that is, the wattle and the comb. And I do enjoy getting information from you guys on what things are. I try to do research and figure some of it out, but sometimes I don't get it. And you can see if the color is showing up too turquoise at this point, that means you probably have too much water in it. Maybe got a little white in there. But this needs to be pretty opaque. So I'm going to have one come up like that. So you want these feathers to really have a lot of loose action. Now cool, just flip it up. Don't be afraid of it. Fear, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a healthy fear in painting. I don't want anyone to misinterpret this. Obviously, no one wants to make a mistake. But the way I look at painting, folks, is my mistakes are my best teachers. If you're so afraid to do something, you'll never grow as an artist. I've always not been afraid, and actually has helped me grow. I teach that to my students. It's better to do it and just do it afraid. That way, you get past all that concern. Doesn't have to be perfect. You still got room to grow. And see, I'm kind of feathering it down there, creating all these little, remember back to these little pockets. Those are the things that make a good painting, that make a good form. Doesn't matter if you're doing hair on a person or something that's got a lot of movement to it, a dress or anything that's got a lot of flowing lines. You want good negative space. By the way, take some of these on off the canvas over here. There's quite a bit of tail there. Yeah, we can kind of use some of that there. Bring some of this color back on in. And then you've got this long, see, they kind of have this V shape. So try to get that in there. Okay. And like this chicken, you can see a little bit of that color in there. That's this. Took this picture somewhere. I don't even know what this one is, but I think that is one cool looking chicken. I'm going to do some more research to get the names of all of these, but I really like this dark one. And when he's got that little turquoise color on him. Okay, now let's come up here to the top part. Go back to just a little burnt sienna. You don't even have to clean your brush that good, but go to the burnt sienna, because it's best if the burnt sienna is not just really, really brown. And this will be sort of the underpainting for it. We've got to get this in here, folks, before our next session if you can, or as much of it as you can. And now, so just let this kind of hang over. It's right up into there. You do want to be a little careful because you don't want to lose the shape. Now, I will say this, and all the things I say about being loose and free, You still want to stick to anatomical accuracy. I don't care if you're doing a person, an animal, or a bird. You still need to be anatomically correct as much as possible. Okay, now we can switch to some smaller brushes, and we can go ahead and put in some of the details, not the details, but the smaller things like the beak. And well, if I can get my brush out here, there we go. Let's do the beak first. Take a little bit of white and just any kind of mud, a little warm mud. It's got kind of a tannish color to the beak. So I'm using my number 4 round sable now because it makes that nice point. And I want to get my beak up here. Probably going to have a little hard time seeing this, but just get that in there so we'll have it to contend with here. And we can build some things in around it. There we go. Where the eye is, just block that in real dark. Just take blue and brown and just make a real dark blob. And we'll work around the eye. At least you can see it there. Now I have my number 2. You can use the number 2 chisel edge brush, the synthetic, or you can use the number 2 bristle. I'm going to start with the number 2 bristle. And I'm going to take a little bit of my cadmium red. I'm going to put just a little touch of purple in it. I'm going to make a little bit of a, I might say kind of a burgundy color in a sense. It's not really burgundy, but it's a real deep, kind of a dirty red. This is just to shape his comb and the wattle. So I've already sketched in the basic shape. So you may have your own specific shape that you're needing to work with. This part, there's 2 sections to the wattle. One section is on the other side of the beak. This section's on this side. So you want to make that little section right there a little darker. So if you put just a touch more purple, and folks, even though I'm not, again, a chicken expert, I do understand the principles behind all this because of my wildlife days. And you want to get these things correct. So don't be afraid to dive in here and really focus on making sure that your forms are correct. There's nothing worse than having someone that knows their business walk up to you in an art show and say, sir, you kind of got that. I've had that happen. Then you can take your number 4 round sable and you can shape the wattle because you can't shape it hardly with anything else. Put a little crimson in there, I think. Okay, now I can be just a little more specific with the shaping. Okay, good. Now we'll put a little shadow under his beak. And we'll have him pretty well blocked in so that next time we'll be able to detail him a little bit and then put some of the other elements in this painting that really are really cool. You'll love this. And this will give you a little time, frankly, to work on it as well. But just a little bit of a highlight and put a little bit of white in that mixture. So just a little bit of around the top of the eye. See how it makes the eye pop out just a little bit? And that's a good thing. Okay, now while that's setting up, go back up here to our building. Now I will say this, when this dries, I want all of you to take a look at your bird, readjust any colors that you need to adjust, erase your charcoal lines, darken any areas, and I'm going to do a little of that, and I'll probably do that between now and our next session. I'll clean my bird up, make sure he's ready. In the meantime, we can play with this a little bit. I'm going to put this little, whatever you want to call it, little ladder, chicken ladder. We'll go back to some grays, which is just basically the underpainting for this. And just a couple of quick strokes here. That's not quite light enough. Put a little more white in there. And get too much water. Let me just say this, and I normally mention this in every program. With acrylic, most of the time, you want your mixtures to be about the consistency of soft butter. You know how butter gets just before it melts? But it's got to be so creamy that it slides. If it drags and real rough, you're always going to get that scratchy look that everyone complains about, and it's fixable if you just do it right. Don't get too much. Don't paint so dry. Also, I might mention, and I didn't in this painting, but the smoother the tooth on the canvas is, the easier it is to blend. You don't need as much water. This is a canvas that's sort of a medium depth cotton canvas, and I sanded it lightly, and that cuts down all that heavy tooth, so now it blends a little easier. Most wildlife artists like a little less textured surface if they like detail. Now I'm going to take this out. This is an interesting little spot right here. This is what's called a 3/4 foreshortened angle. This board right here, you can't have it looking up at you. So you take your brush, see I'm taking it, so you got to angle it one way or another, so it looks like when you come down, it's foreshortened, which means you're looking at it at a different angle. So you're not looking at it like this one isn't facing you more, so it's wider. This board is in fact the same width as this one because we're looking at a different angle. See, it's going to be tipped up, and that's called a 3/4 foreshortened angle. A little tough to do. So this bottom line, even though it'll probably be covered with A, and this one has to angle down like it's going back toward the horizon line. This is a perspective issue, and it's tough to understand sometimes. I may have got a little high. Cut that down. Probably they'd be tripping over that. But anyway, that's what you want to do to get that started. Now, once you kind of get those blocked in there, then the next thing you guys can do is have some fun. Like you can go ahead and take your script brush, which I don't have out here. In fact, I won't do it now because we're about to run out of time. But I'll take this little number 4 round sable and it give a similar effect. And you can start putting in a few little cracks like this, lines, holes, and spots where the wood's broken out. You can start playing with these and have a lot of fun with this stuff. So, folks, that's what I'm going to do. Turn loose, get some of those things done, have fun doing it. Next week, we're going to really make progress. So, thanks for joining me again today. God bless you. Stay inspired. I'll see you again real soon on another session of Paint This.